Yeah, what's up for a nightcap? Chill, you know, kick back.
Welcome to the Nightcap. I'm Carolina Sanchez, and we've got a very interesting topic for you tonight. We're talking autoimmune disease. I know that's not very nightcappy, but 23.5 million Americans suffer from them, and it's affecting their sex lives, their relationships, and it's everything from lupus to rheumatoid arthritis to MS. You've heard of them, and you may have them if you haven't gotten checked. But we do have a doctor here who knows all about it because she's suffered it and come out the other end. All right, so we've got Dr. Brooke Goldner here. I mean, you actually suffered through lupus. When were you diagnosed?
I was diagnosed at 16 years old, and by the time I was 16, I was already suffering for a while. I actually started getting migraines around 14, and the bad kind. I'd be sick for a week, throwing up, nothing could help me. And then I started getting rashes and moving pain throughout my joints. And, I thought maybe it was, too much work at volleyball practice or something. But I'm not actually athletic, and I sat bench for the team, so it wasn't really like I was getting sports injuries or anything. There was no explanation. So finally one day, I'd been out in the sun all day, terrible migraine, rash was blooming, just felt so bad. And my parents went, all right, something's really wrong, took me to the emergency room. And that's when they diagnosed me. And at the time, not only did they diagnose me with the lupus, but they told me that I was in kidney failure. So I went from rashes and pain and some headaches to being told after a biopsy that I was in stage 4 kidney failure. And the nephrologist at the time actually gave me 6 months to live if I didn't enter into experimental treatments. Because it was really that severe. He said my kidneys were failing so quickly that within 6 months they'd be gone and I'd be on dialysis or I wouldn't make it.
Wow. And for people who don't know what lupus is, what exactly is it doing to your healthy cells?
So your immune system is normally on your side, right? It's going to go out there, it's going to attack any invaders, a virus, bacteria, it's going to respond to those attacks, it's going to keep you safe. But with autoimmune diseases like lupus, the immune system gets a bit confused and it can start attacking your own cells instead. So even when I was a kid, I kind of imagined it, like my immune system be going around like, hey, what's that? And they go, I think it's a kidney. Nah, let's get it. And then
yeah.
go in, and it can very effectively destroy organs. And while the kidneys are a common organ that's attacked, it could be your brain, your heart, your lungs. And I've helped people as young as 11 years old with lupus throughout their body, attacking multiple organs at a time. And it can be life-threatening, and people don't really live as long a life. And while they're alive, they have a lot of symptoms that can cause a great amount of suffering.
Yeah, and I mean, you were suffering for 2 years before you got the diagnosis, and you're a teenager. So what was that like, getting that news at 16?
I think at 16, I wasn't really able to understand when they said 6 months to live, all of that. My family, of course, felt it more. I was kind of in shock.
Yeah.
I wanted my face to clear up.
You're like, I want these rashes on.
I don't want the rashes
to go in high school. Yeah,
exactly. I didn't really understand that existential threat, but I can say, I remember being at the nephrologist's office with my mother and my grandmother. Now, my grandmother's a Holocaust survivor. She came here as a refugee to give her family a better life. My mom was 5 when they came in on a boat through Ellis Island, right? So I'm first born in America, going to live the American dream, and we're sitting in that office where the nephrologist gives us the news about my kidneys failing and, experimental treatments or death, horrible thing. And I remember going home that night, and my grandmother was so tough. She survived the war. I never saw her cry. I never saw, she just was so strong. The only time I've ever seen her cry was that night when she was on her knees just begging God to spare me and to take her instead. And it was just, and it's something that I teach my patients now, is that you don't go through disease by yourself. Everyone who loves you suffers, and it's why you need to fight for yourself and take care of yourself, because everybody needs you.
Is that when it set in? Was it seeing your grandmother break down? Because obviously you were thinking about the aesthetics, the looks,
the pain,
the things that we think about as teens, and not the existential. Like, is that when it set in, just seeing her break down?
That was definitely a moment that lives with me forever. And thankfully, listen, we both made it. She lived to 99.
Ooh.
And I'm about to be 46. I'm still here. Hey. Yeah. But it was definitely, I think it taught me at the time to try to not show my pain as much, actually, because I saw how much it caused suffering in my family. So I just wanted to make them proud and to live well. And that's one thing that having Holocaust survivor family tells me, is I still had it good. They were in prison camps. They had their family members murdered. I had good doctors. I had hospitals to go to. I was living a middle-class life, being able to go to school and achieve. And so I kind of put it in this box where it's something I have to deal with. I have to get these, they gave me experimental chemotherapy to try to shut off my immune system. You know, normally chemotherapy is for people with cancer, but the side effect is they die of an infection because they have no immune system. So they thought, what if we reboot her? What if we shut the immune system down with high doses of steroids and chemotherapy? And then when there's no immune system left, maybe if it reboots, maybe it'll come back on normally, right? Like when your computer's glitching,
Yeah.
you shut it off, you say a prayer, turn it back on. Hey, Zoom's working, right? Like it just,
That's what the IT always says, is like, hey, did you reboot?
it's magic.
It's
right?
magic, yeah.
Yeah, so that's what they were thinking. And so I kind of had to figure out, okay, since my family told me that I am going to finish high school, I do have a purpose to give. I have to keep succeeding and achieving in my life, that we don't get to choose how much time we have, but we choose how we spend it. So I just kind of went, okay, so I have chemotherapy on Friday. I have a test on Tuesday, so I got to study to make sure because I'm going to be puking for days. So I just kind of organized my achieving and my life around my medicines and my treatments. And I just felt lucky. That's what my grandmother always taught me, is that we're lucky.
Well, you also brought us some goodies, because we like to have drinks on this show. Typically they're alcoholic, but you've got a daily drinker that we're actually going to blend up coming up next. I'm very excited about this, keeping me healthy. Welcome back to the Nightcap. We are now behind the bar with Dr. Goldner, and you're gonna make a delicious smoothie for me that's healthy, and I need it, obviously, and you guys need it at home. But before we get into it, you're actually lupus free.
I am. Actually, this month I'm celebrating 17 years lupus free. Right?
How, Sway? I need the how.
Well, I fell in love. That's what did it. Yes.
okay.
Okay. So I met my husband 17 years ago. Well, no, 18 years ago. We got a little time before we got married. And he's this amazing guy. He's also a researcher, and his study was human metabolism. He said, why is it that we know what giraffes should eat, we know what lions should eat, nobody knows what humans should eat, right? High carb, low carb, high protein. Nobody knows what we're supposed to eat. And it was driving him crazy because he was in exercise science, and he was getting his master's, and he said, there has to be optimal nutrition for humans.
Absolutely.
So that's what he was obsessed with.
Good.
And then I met him and I was obsessed with him. Yeah.
Hello.
So we fell in love very quickly, and within a month of meeting, he was talking marriage, and I really was, and I felt it. No, you should.
Both of y'all?
Oh,
baby, okay.
yeah, when we met, it was one of those things where our eyes locked and we both just started crying. It's like mystical stuff. Yeah, still to this day, we've been together for so long, and if we look at each other in the eye for more than a few seconds, we just, one tear. It's just, yeah.
Soulmates, if I've ever.
Yeah, he's amazing. And so we were in love. We knew it was meant to be. But I had to explain to this man at 28 years old that I have this disease where at this point I'd already had blood clots, mini strokes. I was taking injections every day for blood thinners to stay alive, not drop dead in medical school.
Oh my God.
So I said, you know, I'm already very sick. I still had chronic kidney issues. I still had arthritis, all that. But, you know, I was told I could never have children and that I wasn't going to live a long life. I'd probably be disabled by my 40s. And it's kind of a tough thing to say to someone, that you're going to have to take care of me before I die too young, can't have your kids. And he just, you know, it took him a few seconds, and he looked at me and he said, you know, I'd rather live a short life with you than a lifetime with anybody else.
All right.
So I said, let's get married. Let's get married right now. Let's do it. And I've always told my patients, don't, you know, take love. You don't choose who gets to love you. And sometimes people think they're going to be a burden. I said, if someone wants to love you, take it. Let it in, you know.
Absolutely.
And so then we decided we're going to elope to Maui with just the people who are going to cry, closest family and friends. But it was Maui. And I was wearing this coat, which can hide a lot. But hospital food is really good for being overweight and sick. You eat that stuff, it's good for business, you know?
Oh my gosh.
So I said, I want to be on that metabolism diet that you created. And he said, okay. But we had to make some changes. He actually still had some meat in it, but it was lots of foods that had vitamins and minerals and things your body uses for cellular repair and metabolism. So we changed the diet a little bit to suit me.
Yeah.
Now, his diet worked for people losing weight, never healed anybody. I did it with our little adjustments, and within 3 months, my labs were normal, my kidneys were fully normal, and this was after 12 years of being sick. I had no
3 months.
Yeah, I had no more blood clots. There was no signs of lupus. All the lupus antibodies were gone, and it worked. I went from a size 11 to a size 3 in 3 months. I was ripped for our wedding, and this is now 17 years later. I've had 2 healthy kids. I have never had a relapse. I feel better at 45 than I did through my teens and 20s. And so so falling in love, it changed everything. And so, you know, I believe it's unethical to tell someone just do what I did and hope it works. As a former patient, as a scientist, as a doctor, we had to prove it. So after I had my first son, we said, let's go back to the science and see what does this nutrition have to do with cellular repair in the immune system. And once we could replicate it in volunteers every time, we decided to create a protocol, and then we released it to the public for free. Because
doing the right work, baby. Yes.
Well, I said you got to be able to save your life, and he says you got to be able to save your wife. So we create free resources for the public with free recipes. I'm going to show you one of our recipes today.
Yes, show me.
It's actually not hard. When it comes down to it, your body's programmed to repair itself, but it needs tools. Like a Lego manual has the instructions, but you need the pieces. Well, your DNA has the instructions for cellular repair, but you need the ingredients. If you don't have one of the ingredients, it can't do the job.
Right.
But even 12 years later, decades later, if you give your body what it needs, it can repair the damage and you can get your health back. And at this point, we've helped thousands of people all over the world heal from lupus, RA, MS. I mean, it's just incredible.
Heal autoimmune disease.
Yeah, get off their meds and live healthy lives the way I get to do.
You're watching the Nightcap. Don't go anywhere.
So the key is that this is, again, it's a delivery system for the nutrition. So the primary goal is going to get the greens in. I already preloaded it, and I saw your eyes getting wide as I put more and more greens.
Yeah, so
we're not done with the
Hobby
greens.
only got this much, and she
Isn't that cute?
She laughed.
She's like, let's put 2 ounces in a bowl and then call it a day. No, so I actually like to put a lot more in there, so we're going to use this too.
all the way to the top.
No, we'll leave a little bit of room for the fruit, a little bit. All right, you'll be fine, I promise.
I'll be fine.
Okay.
I'll be fine, allegedly.
So if you're making this at home, you want about 3/4 of it to be the greens, because that's your vitamins, your minerals, your antioxidants, that's all the good stuff, right? Then you need omega-3s. Omega-3s actually create a fast metabolism. You ever hear fat's bad for you?
Yes, I have heard that many a time.
This is a fat that makes you lose fat. It creates a fast metabolism, and we've tested it, thousands of calories from omega-3s, and it just makes you burn fat faster. It also makes you repair damage faster, and it's a precursor to your anti-inflammatory immune system. So this is chia seeds. You can also use flax seeds for omega-3. Flax seeds also has phytoestrogens, which is great for women, protects us from breast cancer. But this will work. Now, I usually say about a handful, but they gave me this nice spoon, so I won't put my hand in there. But that's a good place to start, all right? It does make the smoothie a bit thick, though, so.
I mean, that's fine. I like it thick.
That's what I heard. So, okay.
Yes, doctor.
So, and then we're going to use water. This is also necessary for metabolism, for all the chemical reactions that take place for healing. Most people who are dehydrated are not thirsty. It's a bad sign if you're not thirsty. But it also is the primary reason that people have constipation and headaches. So don't go to the pharmacy, drink your water. And this is another place to hide the water. I just say put the water to the level of the greens.
Really?
Yeah, that'll help.
So is this serving for one person, 2, 3, the whole house?
Well, I would like people to have one of these a day, the blender. So you have some at breakfast. You have some as a snack. You kind of let yourself have it throughout the day. That way, this is for your cells. Whatever you eat next is for your taste buds.
Wow.
But think of it this way. You got 100 trillion cells, right? You don't want to, you need to give them a little bit more, especially if you've been starving them for most of your life.
Oh, wow, yeah.
People with autoimmune disease, if you had a little bit of this, it's like bringing a water gun to a forest fire, right?
Wow.
We need a lot. So yes, I'd love you to drink it by the end of the day, but start where you can. You know, if you're not used to fiber, you know, for most people it gives you a glorious bowel movement. For some people it's a little bit much. So you just start where you can, get used to it. So right.
We won't take you after the show. Don't worry.
All right. Now, banana is really good. You want the ones from the spots. I learned these as banana bread bananas, but where they're going to be in the smoothie. They're sweeter when they have the spots, so we'll put those in there.
My mother always says, "Oh, that's way too sweet." Now you've got
But in a smoothie, it's good. Well, with the greens, you want the sweet.
Yeah, I definitely need the sweet.
You're like, please, more
like,
extra.
This is all salad right now. I'm drinking a salad. How many bananas?
Well, I'm being nice to you, all right? It's your first time.
Oh, what a sweetie.
It's your first
thank
time.
You.
We're going to be
It'll
gentle.
Be a pleasant
all right.
trip to
Do you
the
like
bathroom and
pineapple?
stuff. I love pineapple.
Okay,
I love
cool.
mango. I love it all.
So,
can any of them be frozen? Or
actually, that's what I'm using. If you use frozen fruit, then you don't need to add ice and you can have more fruit in it. It's going to taste better. If you don't use frozen fruit, then you're going to want to add ice because if this cooks, that's really gross. You don't want a hot smoothie.
We don't want to cook salad, no.
Right. Now, normally I'd be using my hands to shove this down to give you more
Use
room.
your hands.
Put it in there.
I saw you wash your hands. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, all right, let's try. I'm trying to be polite for TV service. Okay, let's see. All right. All right, and then it'll be fun if we get
That's not going to fit. What are you?
So again, the fruit is just for flavor. And you'd be amazed how good, I know you look skeptical, you can taste it. All right, this is gonna be loud though. I'm gonna blend this up. Now this is a high powered blender, so it'll actually make it like a restaurant smoothie. If you've got a weaker blender, you might be chewing a bit, so I do recommend people who are gonna
want to be chewing a
use
smoothie.
this for your lifestyle that you get a good quality blender.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, I'm gonna turn this on. All right, here we go.
Wow, that's fast.
Yeah, Vitamix is very strong.
Oh, it's Vitamix.
Okay, are you scared? You nervous?
No. All
right, let me find something fancy so you feel okay.
A little fancy schmance.
Look at
and
that.
those are deeper. It's a margarita glass, so it's a deeper, so it's not just.
I want you to feel like you're having the margarita vibes,
Yes.
all right? Okay, let's see how I did. So let's pour that in there.
Oh, it's pretty and thick. All right.
Okay, now if you drink it this way, you get the mustache. We also have straws in case you weren't looking for that. Now, where did they go?
These
Oh, there.
straws are here.
Oh, that's a skinny straw. We might, look at that.
That's how thick it is, folks. Bada bing, bada boom. All
It's
right.
up for late night. There we go.
Cheers.
All right, cheers, my lady. Come on, that's good.
That's good. It's good.
Right?
That's good.
You would never, it tastes like pineapple.
Pineapple, mango, the bananas coming through. I mean, obviously, I do taste the greens, not gonna lie.
It's in there, but it's not overwhelming, right? For someone who's
That's
not
what I was
into
gonna say,
salad.
not overwhelmingly so. I can drink this. I want one of these every night on the nightcap, okay? We're gonna get healthy up in here
I'll be
now.
back tomorrow making that drink. The new bartender.
Welcome back to the Nightcap. We're back behind the bar with Dr. Goldner. This is the Nightcap after all, so we've got to get into the sex and the relationships. So, I mean, you became lupus-free after meeting your husband and whatnot, but I imagine having the joint pain, having the rashes and things like that would make you feel unsexy in the bedroom.
Well, I mean, it depends. Obviously, if you have autoimmune disease and you have active arthritis, it's going to affect your position.
Got to get it creative.
Absolutely. Or if you've had fatigue. Now, I had medicines that helped me with that. So for me, it didn't really affect that. I had a healthy sex life. But I work with a lot of folks that really struggle with that because there's the fatigue and then there's the pain. But there's also autoimmune diseases that affect how you look. Rheumatoid arthritis, they can get disfigurement of their joints. Psoriasis, they usually have lesions on their genitals. Lichen sclerosis, you have lesions on your genitals. So for a lot of people, there's a lot of embarrassment and really not feeling comfortable in their bodies. And for sex to be good, you want to feel comfortable, you want to feel relaxed. So one, having a partner that makes you feel comfortable is important, right? Somebody that really treats you with love and kindness. You also have to treat yourself with love and kindness. And so if you can learn to love yourself, then you can have really good intimacy with others, whether it's sex or otherwise.
I mean, I feel like that's such a hard conversation to have. I mean, how was it telling your now husband back then, like, hey, I come with a lot of baggage and a very limited amount of time?
Right. Well, I mean, one, I felt like I was worthy of the love. And I do love life. And I think it's an important thing that all of us, we have to believe in that, right? I think one of the reasons why they say sicker, poorer, death, richer, right? No, it's sicker, help me, sickness and in health, richer or poorer, right? The reason you have to do all that is because stuff's going to happen, right? You're going to say I do, and then stuff's going to happen, and you're still with me, right? So here I am, I get married sick, and now I'm healthy, and he's stuck growing old with me, right? Then other folks, they get married healthy, and then something goes wrong, which is usually how it happens. So you have to let that love in there and let that happen. And so for me, I felt worthy of it. In fact, it's kind of funny. I met my husband on a date with somebody else. But here's the thing. Scandal. So she's got the straw ready for the tea. So what happened was, guy asked me out, and he seemed nice, and I was a poor medical student, so I wasn't going to say no.
Absolutely
right?
not.
Go out,
Free
and
dinner.
he has a couple drinks, and he starts becoming very rude and condescending. And one thing I learned from lupus is life's too short. Right?
Right. You
So I said, you know what? Yeah. I said, you know what? Listen, the music here is great, but you are rude and condescending, so I'm going to end the date now. Now, most of my girlfriends would have had the bad date complain later. I said, this part's done. I will get my own ride back to my car. I'm going to stay and enjoy the music. So I left him there at the bar.
Hell yes.
And I danced. I danced. I had a great night. And then whoop. And then
I danced too much apparently.
you did put the tequila in there, didn't you?
Maybe.
So I was having a great time. And then I went to the bar to get some water. And who's sitting there at the bar but my future husband, who never would have been there normally, but he was there supporting a friend who was going through a breakup. And so I did one of those, well, hi, how you doing?
Hey.
And all I remember from that night is the most beautiful eyes I've ever seen and laugh until my cheeks hurt, and he's the one who took me home. And so it's like, I really feel like we have to seize the moment. We have to embrace our joy. You can't let people mistreat you even for a moment. You're allowed to walk away. And so that's how I lived, is in that moment. I walked away from someone who mistreated me and into the arms of the man who was going to love me forever. And then it led to me healing my illness. So,
bro, if that isn't a story for the ages, cheers to you, your love story, and how you're changing people's lives.
Thank you.
I hope you learned a lot tonight here on the Nightcap, because, man, I did, and I cried and everything. This is amazing, and this is delicious.
Thank you.
Well, cheers to you. It's not always alcohol here, folks. It's not always alcohol.